Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders find themselves at a pivotal crossroads as training camp approaches, with star wide receiver Terry McLaurin's contract situation casting a long shadow over the team's preparations. Rookies have already reported and veterans are set to arrive soon. But McLaurin's absence looms large if a new agreement isn't reached. This standoff has frustrated fans, who see McLaurin as the heart and soul of the team's offense and a player deserving of respect and security. The tension between McLaurin's rightful demands for a pay increase and long-term security clashes sharply with the Commanders' firm stance on budget constraints and future planning. It's a drama unfolding not just in negotiations, but also in the very fabric of the franchise's identity. For a player who has been loyal through tough seasons and consistently delivered on the field, this contract impasse is creating an uncomfortable spotlight on both the player and the front office, testing patience on all sides. Terry McLaurin's recent comments to the media, which were seen as uncharacteristic, underscored the depth of his frustration and dissatisfaction with the current state of negotiations. Usually known for his professionalism and positive demeanor, McLaurin's decision to voice his displeasure publicly marks a significant escalation, raising the stakes and forcing the Commanders to reconsider their approach. This outburst was not just a moment of venting, but a strategic move to signal the seriousness of his position and the emotional toll of feeling undervalued by the team. The public nature of his comments has fueled fan outrage and increased scrutiny on the Commanders' management, prompting many to question the wisdom of letting such a crucial player feel sidelined during a critical phase of the team's development. The dynamic between McLaurin and the front office has shifted from a quiet negotiation to a high-profile standoff that threatens team cohesion and morale. On the other side of the fence, the Commanders have maintained a steadfast position, emphasizing fiscal responsibility and long-term strategy over immediate concessions. General Manager Adam Peters, tasked with balancing the team's payroll and competitive window, has resisted meeting McLaurin's full asking price, aiming to safeguard the franchise's future flexibility. This pragmatic, business-first mindset, while understandable from a management perspective, clashes with the emotional and human side of football, where star players demand recognition and loyalty in return for their efforts. Peters must walk a delicate tightrope, trying to avoid alienating McLaurin while also ensuring the team doesn't compromise its financial health. The lack of movement in talks suggests this balancing act is proving difficult, and the longer it drags on, the greater the risk of losing a player who has become integral to the team's identity and competitive aspiration. Fans, meanwhile, are growing restless as the saga drags into what should be a time of optimism and preparation. McLaurin has not only been a top-tier wide receiver, but also a symbol of resilience and leadership during some of the Commanders' roughest seasons. His presence transcends statistics. He embodies the team's spirit and connection to the community. Supporters have rallied behind him, seeing the front office's reluctance as a failure to appreciate the value he brings both on and off the field. The vocal frustration from the fan base reflects a broader sentiment that McLaurin deserves better treatment, a fair contract that acknowledges his status as a cornerstone player. This groundswell of support has placed additional pressure on the Commanders' management to reach a deal, with many fearing that failure to do so could trigger a damaging rift and weaken the team's chances in the upcoming season. Inside the media, respected voices like Nikki Jobvala of the Washington Post have expressed surprise and disappointment at the ongoing impasse. Jobvala, familiar with the Commanders' internal dynamics, highlighted McLaurin's impeccable reputation as a teammate and ambassador, noting that he ticks every box for what a franchise player should be. Her surprise that the negotiations have dragged on without resolution reflects a shared perception among insiders that McLaurin's contributions merit a swift and positive conclusion. This sentiment is echoed by other local commentators such as the sports junkies on the Team 980, who emphasize McLaurin's loyalty and rise within the league as clear reasons for the Commanders to prioritize his contract extension. The consensus among media insiders is that McLaurin's value extends well beyond the gridiron, making the standoff not only a football issue but a public relations challenge as well. From a strategic viewpoint, Adam Peters faces a tough puzzle. He must juggle the immediate need to keep McLaurin motivated and on the field, with the broader goal of constructing a roster capable of sustained success. Peters is tasked with managing salary cap constraints while also accommodating the expectations of a demanding fan base and coaching staff eager to see progress. The front office's reluctance to bend fully to McLaurin's demands is rooted in a vision that balances present performance with future flexibility, aiming to build a contender over multiple seasons rather than chasing short-term fixes. However, this approach risks alienating a star player whose prime years may be limited if he feels undervalued or frustrated enough to seek a trade or hold out. Finding a middle ground quickly is essential to avoid disruption during what should be a foundational season under head coach Dan Quinn and quarterback Jaden Daniels. The potential consequences of this contract standoff ripple across the team's preparation and locker room atmosphere. Should McLaurin miss training camp or early season practices, the Commanders could suffer more than just on-field setbacks. The leadership void and diminished morale could stall the team's growth trajectory. McLaurin is more than just a playmaker. He is a leader whose presence inspires teammates and fans alike. His absence, even temporary, would send shockwaves through the roster, challenging the team's unity and competitive spirit. The timing of this contract drama could not be worse, arriving just as the Commanders aim to make a statement in a competitive NFC East division. The urgency to resolve the situation is palpable, with every passing day increasing the pressure on all parties involved to come to an agreement that preserves McLaurin's place in Washington. Meanwhile, the Commanders' fans and media continue to speculate about the underlying reasons for the impasse. Some suggest that the front office's hardline stance stems from a desire to set a precedent in contract negotiations, emphasizing fiscal discipline over star power. Others believe the Commanders may have concerns about McLaurin's long-term health or production trajectory, making them cautious about committing significant resources. Despite these theories, the overwhelming consensus is that McLaurin's proven talent and leadership qualities justify the investment. This situation highlights the broader challenges NFL teams face in balancing player compensation with team building strategies, especially in a league where wide receivers of McLaurin's caliber are rare and highly valued. How the Commanders navigate this balance will speak volumes about their future direction and commitment to winning. At this juncture, the pressure on Adam Peters and the Commanders' front office has intensified significantly. The fan base expects a resolution that honors McLaurin's contributions and aligns with the team's goals. Peters, known for his analytical approach and long-term vision, now faces a more immediate and public test of his leadership. Failure to secure McLaurin's services under agreeable terms could lead to a loss of trust within the organization and among fans, complicating efforts to rebuild a winning culture. Conversely, a well-negotiated contract extension would signal stability and a renewed commitment to competitiveness. The coming days will be critical. As training camp begins and the stakes grow higher, this saga has become more than just a contract negotiation. It is a defining moment for the Commanders' identity and their ambitions in the NFL landscape. Ultimately, the Commanders' situation with Terry McLaurin serves as a microcosm of the complex interplay between business, loyalty, and performance in professional sports. McLaurin's importance transcends his role as a wide receiver. He is a symbol of perseverance and hope for a franchise hungry for success. The challenge for Washington's front office is to recognize this value not only in dollars, but in the intangibles that McLaurin brings to the locker room and community. As the clock ticks down toward the first practice and the new NFL season, all eyes remain fixed on the negotiation table. Whether the Commanders can bridge the gap and secure their star wideout will shape the narrative of their season, testing the resilience and vision of everyone involved. This story, rich with drama and significance, is far from over. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that one of the most legendary names in recent NFL history just touched down in the nation's capital? Yes, you heard it right, Von Miller. The two-time Super Bowl champion and future Hall of Famer has reportedly landed in Washington, D.C., sparking a wave of speculation that's got Commanders fans losing their minds. Now, let's not jump the gun just yet, but let me paint you a picture. Vaughn, in full swag, stepping off a private jet, greeted by team officials, all smiles and nods. Could this be the sign we've been waiting for? The Commanders have been quietly building, tweaking, and now perhaps planning a power move to thrust themselves into the Super Bowl conversation. And with Miller possibly in the mix, man, this could be seismic. Washington hasn't had this kind of buzz since our GII's rookie year. Something big is brewing, can you feel it? And let's talk about that buzz. The moment fans spotted what looked like Von Miller arriving at Dulles, social media exploded. Photos started circulating, insiders began hinting, and suddenly the NFL world paused for a second. I mean, think about it, Von Miller, the man who terrorized quarterbacks for a decade, who was instrumental in both the Broncos and Rams Super Bowl runs, could now be suiting up in burgundy and gold. That's not just another signing, that's a statement, a declaration of intent. The Commanders aren't just rebuilding, they're reloading. And when you bring in a guy like Miller, you're not thinking wild card weekend. You're thinking Vince Lombardi, you're thinking glory, you're thinking fireworks in February. It's the kind of rumor that doesn't just stay in whispers, it roars through the locker room, through the fan base, through the league. This could be a cultural shift in the making. Now, let's not ignore the potential implications here. If Miller signs, it's not just about sacks or tackles for loss, it's about leadership, legacy, and elevating an entire defensive unit. The Commanders already boast one of the most physically gifted young defensive lines in the NFL. Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Darren Payne, those are serious names. But they've lacked that veteran presence, that guiding voice who's been through it all. Von Miller brings that and more. He's a teacher, a motivator. And when he steps on the field, the energy changes. Younger players play harder, smarter, and faster just by being around him. And let's be real, he's still got juice left. Injuries have slowed him at times. But when the lights shine the brightest, Miller shows up. Playoffs, he's a different beast. This move wouldn't just be bold, it would be brilliant. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. Whispers from league insiders suggest that Miller isn't just passing through DC, he's here with a purpose. Some claim he's already visited team facilities, others hint at meetings with Ron Rivera and ownership. And then there's the cryptic tweet he dropped just hours ago. New chapter loading. Fans went wild. Could it be coincidence? Maybe. Could it be deliberate? Absolutely. Von Miller knows how to stir the pot. He's always been media savvy, always known how to control a narrative. And if he wanted to get the league talking, mission accomplished. Suddenly, the Commanders aren't just another team in the NFC East, they're front page news. They're relevant, and if this deal goes through, they might just become dangerous, very dangerous. This rumor, it's got legs. Let's also consider Von Miller's own journey. He's not just looking for a paycheck, he's chasing legacy. With 2 Super Bowl rings already, Miller's place in history is secure. But what if he brings a third, with a third different team? That would be unprecedented. And what better place to etch that final chapter than in the capital of the United States? Leading a once proud franchise back to glory would cement his name in NFL mythology. The Commanders haven't held the Lombardi since 1992. That's over 3 decades of pain, rebuilds, and disappointment. Imagine being the guy who breaks that drought. Von Miller isn't afraid of pressure. He thrives in it. If this is his mission, then Commanders fans better buckle up. Because when Von sets his sights on something, he doesn't miss. He delivers. And right now, the stars are starting to align. And yes, there are risks. He's 36. He's coming off injuries. He's not the same Von Miller who won Super Bowl MVP. But here's the thing, he doesn't have to be. What Washington needs is experience, energy, and excellence in moments that matter. Miller can still give you 30 snaps of elite football when it counts. He's not a season-long workhorse anymore. But he's a finisher, a closer, a guy who makes the play when everything's on the line. And with the way the Commanders' defense is structured, they don't need a 17-game superstar. They need a playoff hammer. Someone to strike fear into opposing quarterbacks when the margins are razor thin. Miller has proven time and again that when the pressure mounts, he elevates, and in a league built on moments. That kind of clutch presence, it's priceless, even if it's just a rumor. It's the kind that makes sense, of course. Vince's decision will depend on more than just scheme and spotlight. It'll come down to culture, chemistry, and belief. Word around the league is that the Commanders' locker room has undergone a quiet transformation. New ownership, a refreshed coaching staff, and a hunger to build something sustainable. Players are buying in. The atmosphere is shifting, and for a veteran like Miller, that matters. He's not going to sign with a sinking ship. He wants to win now and win big. And maybe, just maybe, he sees something in Washington that the rest of us are just starting to notice. Maybe he sees potential. Maybe he sees a chance to mentor and dominate. Maybe he sees a city starving for a hero and he's ready to answer that call. The more you think about it, the more it clicks. This isn't far-fetched. This feels destined. Don't forget, too, that Miller has always loved a challenge. He could have coasted, stayed in Denver, retired after the Rams, but he didn't. He came back, kept grinding, still chasing greatness. That says something about the man. And now, with rumors swirling that he could become the face of Washington's defensive resurgence, the stakes couldn't be higher. This wouldn't just be a comeback, it would be a coronation. If he helps bring the Commanders back to the promised land, his legacy goes stratospheric. Not just one of the best edge rushers ever, but one of the greatest leaders in NFL history. Few players get a chance to rewrite history late in their careers. Fewer still sees it, but Von Miller, if anyone, can pull it off. It's him. The Commanders might be on the brink of something special, and Miller might be the key. So what now? We wait, we watch, we listen. Every camera at training camp will be zoomed in. Every insider will be chasing leads, because this isn't just any rumor, it's the kind that changes everything. If the Commanders do land Von Miller, it shifts the balance of power in the NFC. It sends a message that Washington is no longer content with being an afterthought. They're coming. With fire, with purpose, with belief, and behind it all could be a legend looking for one last ride. Fans should be excited, hopeful, but also aware. Because where there's smoke, there's often fire. And this particular fire, it's starting to blaze. We may be days or even hours away from one of the biggest signings of the offseason. Von Miller in Washington, it's more than possible, it's plausible, and if it happens, buckle up. NFL, the Commanders are back, and look, even if it doesn't happen, even if this is all smoke and mirrors, the fact that this rumor carries so much weight speaks volumes. It shows how far the Commanders have come. A year ago, would a player like Von Miller even entertain the idea? Probably not, but now, there's a different energy, a different aura. The kind of energy that attracts greatness, that builds dynasties. And whether or not Miller puts pen to paper, the fact that we're even having this conversation means something. It means Washington is back in the mix, relevant, respected, dangerous. And if the deal does go through, oh man, we're talking about one of the most exciting, compelling storylines the league has seen in years. Von Miller, Washington Commanders, Vince Lombardi. Say it out loud. Sounds crazy, right? But sometimes, crazy is exactly what changes the game. Stay tuned. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.